A couple of years ago, Man City were interested in signing Lucas Paqueta from West Ham United, and it was reported at the time that City were on the brink of completing a deal between around 80 to 85 million pounds. But that move collapsed when the FA launched an investigation into alleged betting offences by Paqueta. He was charged for allegedly getting booked in four Premier League games for the improper purposes of affecting the betting markets in his native Brazil. And then the possibility of a lifetime ban had been looming over him
Yeah.
if found guilty. But it's since been reported that Paquetá is expected to be cleared of spot fixing by an independent regulatory commission. So, Man City fans might be wondering, well, how does this relate to our club? But it has been suggested by some media outlets that Man City may consider reigniting their interest in Paquetá, whether that be this summer or in the near future, and a move to the Etihad cannot be entirely ruled out. It's also been reported that West Ham are sort of ready to cut ties with Paquetá now this summer and could slash their asking price to around 30 million pounds. So quite a significant drop from that 80
Yeah.
to 85 million pound mark suggested to City a few years ago. So, Stephen, I guess the main question I have for you now is, whether you think this ship is sailed, if you like, for Man City. Could they reignite their interest in Paquetá, or have City moved on in your view?
I do think, unfortunately, the ship has sailed for Paquetá. Yeah, obviously, City was it 2 seasons ago, season before last, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That City were linked to them, and I don't really see any reason why that would have changed now. Unfortunately, I think obviously, he's 28 next month, which is not exactly dead young, dead old either. But it's one of those things where they've signed Tijana Reinders now, who plays a very similar role. He's a very similar kind of profile of player, and there's also there's probably unfortunately there's probably a little bit of doubt around him full stop. I know that it's about to be over, but teams will be nervous about potential follow-ups or whatever, even if that's unfair. I think they'll just genuinely be a little bit anxious around the idea of signing him. And if we're being honest as well, he's not exactly really set the world alight over the past 2 years either for West Ham. I feel like his form was at his best in the season before all this came to light, unfortunately. And it's crazy when you're saying that money then 80 to 85 million pounds. It's like absurd amount of money. It felt like it was about to happen back then. And but even now, like many years later, that still sounds like an awful lot of money for him. It sounds absurd. And City, of course, they turned the nose up at Morgan Gibbs White, who had a very similar level season, you'd argue, as he did when City were first linked to him. But he's also homegrown, and he might have been slightly less money than that anyway. It turns out, of course, Gibbs White might be available for 60 million, but at the time City didn't know. They were quoted 100. It probably would have been about 80. City didn't go for that. So now I can't see any reason why they go back for a player who's 2 years older, who isn't homegrown when we've got homegrown issues in the squad anyway. And we've signed Tijana Reinders, who is once again a very similar style player, that sort of complete number eight who can get forward, who can defend a little bit, who can score goals. And we've also got Nico Gonzalez who signed, and the breakthrough of Nico Riley. We've signed Sver Nipan, the young Norwegian midfielder, who probably got on loan, but he's a talent that, who'll be looking to come back. Unfortunately for him, and I do think unfortunately because I think he could have joined and started a lot for Guardiola and probably developed an awful lot because I do think players, their career isn't linear. A sliding door moment can change your life forever. You could sign for a team like Manchester City and just get better around De Bruyne, who would have been there still, better around Rodri, and find yourself world class because it just clicks. But that's not happened, and unfortunately, I think that his career has gone one direction compared to where it could have been. Sadly.
Yeah, I think, last season, obviously, understandably, was a difficult year for Paquetá with that investigation going on. And
Yeah.
West Ham struggled, and he struggled from an individual perspective to really make a real impact on a consistent basis. He chipped in with only 4 goals and no assists in 33 Premier League games for West Ham. So not great for an attack-minded
Yeah.
playmaker. And prior to that, he was an important player. He helped West Ham win the Conference League, and on his days, very skillful, talented midfielder. As you said, I think before he turns 28 in August, so he's entering the prime years of his career now. Um, and I guess an exit from West Ham could happen, but whether he joins City is another thing. And I think it seems now, doesn't it, that City are prioritising other positions to strengthen.
Yeah, I don't think they're going back for him. I'm almost certain. As I said, they've got Tijana Reinders, they've got Rodri still, they've got Bernardo Silva still there, and so on. And I think the age profile, 28, and the fact that they need some homegrown players. I honestly think the fact that Gibbs White as well signed a new contract, it's one of those. All right, we'll sign a new deal, sort of kind of things where he's probably got the handshake that he can leave a year from now for £60 million. If push came to shove, they'd wait for Gibbs White for a year or something like that anyway. I reckon. I expect he'll probably leave the Premier League. Truth be told, I think it's probably a clean break for him is needed. He's played in Italy already. He's played in France already. I'm sure he'd suit La Liga if he wanted to go there. He's going to get a decent move because he's a quality player, and of course, Brazilian international and so on. It's just it doesn't feel. If I was him, I'd probably want to leave the Premier League as well because all that's hanging over me and so on. A clean start and a fresh break somewhere would be incredibly useful, I reckon.